In the heart of Silicon Valley, a revolution was brewing. Steve Jobs, a college dropout with a passion for electronics and a mind teeming with ideas, joined forces with his friend Steve Wozniak. Together in the humble setting of a Los Altos garage, they laid the foundation for what would become one of the most iconic companies in history, Apple Computer. The year was 1976, and the personal computer revolution was about to begin. Jobs, with his keen eye for design and marketing, saw the potential to bring computing power to the masses, not just engineers and hobbyists. Jobs' journey was far from conventional. Adopted at birth, he grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, fascinated by electronics and counterculture. He dropped out of college but continued to audit classes, including a calligraphy course that would later influence Apple's elegant typography. His time spent on a commune and his travels to India exposed him to Eastern spirituality and design aesthetics, elements that would later find expression in Apple's minimalist and user-friendly products. Jobs' early interest in electronics blossomed through his friendship with Steve Wozniak, an engineering prodigy. Wozniak's technical brilliance, coupled with Jobs' vision and marketing acumen, proved to be a potent combination. Their first product, the Apple I, was a bare-bones circuit board targeted at hobbyists. While primitive by today's standards, it showcased Wozniak's ingenuity and Jobs' ability to recognize and market a groundbreaking product. The Apple I was met with enthusiasm from the burgeoning hobbyist community, giving Jobs and Wozniak the confidence to continue. They knew they had something special, a vision of personal computing that extended far beyond the clunky mainframes of the time. Little did they know that their garage-based operation would soon evolve into a global behemoth, forever changing the way we live, work, and interact with the world. From the outset, Steve Jobs possessed an uncanny ability to anticipate the future of technology. While others saw computers as complex machines relegated to research labs and universities, Jobs envisioned a world where computers would be accessible to everyone, tools for creativity, communication, and entertainment. He understood that the key lay in making these powerful machines user-friendly, intuitive, and even aesthetically pleasing. Steve Wozniak, the technical genius behind Apple's early successes, was a stark contrast to Jobs' charismatic personality. While Jobs was the visionary, the showman, Wozniak was the quiet engineer, content to tinker away in his workshop. Wozniak's deep understanding of hardware and software engineering allowed him to bring Jobs' ambitious ideas to life. The partnership between Jobs and Wozniak was not without its challenges. Their personalities and working styles often clashed. Jobs, with his relentless drive and perfectionism, often pushed Wozniak and the rest of the team to their limits. However, this dynamic tension proved essential to Apple's early success, driving them to achieve what many thought impossible. The release of the Apple II in 1977 marked a turning point for the fledgling company. Unlike its predecessor, the Apple II was a fully realized personal computer, complete with a keyboard, color graphics, and a user-friendly interface. It was an instant success, propelling Apple from a garage-based startup to a major player in the burgeoning personal computer industry. The Apple II's success proved that Jobs' vision of a user-friendly computer for the masses was not just a pipe dream, but a viable market opportunity. The early 1980s saw Apple riding high on the success of the Apple II. However, Steve Jobs was already looking ahead, driven by a desire to create a computer that was even more intuitive, more accessible, and more aesthetically refined. This vision would culminate in the Macintosh, a computer that would revolutionize the industry and cement Apple's reputation for innovation and design excellence. The development of the Macintosh was a tumultuous period in Apple's history. Jobs' obsessive attention to detail and his demanding leadership style created friction within the company. He assembled a team of brilliant engineers and designers, pushing them to their limits to realize his vision. The Macintosh project became an all-consuming endeavor, marked by long hours, intense pressure, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. Jobs' inspiration for the Macintosh came from a visit to Xerox PARC, where he witnessed the development of a graphical user interface with windows, icons, and a mouse. Recognizing the potential of this intuitive interface, Jobs returned to Apple determined to create a computer that would bring the power of the GUI to the masses. The Macintosh, released in 1984, was the realization of this vision. The Macintosh was a radical departure from the command-line interfaces of the time. Its intuitive GUI with its windows, icons, and mouse made it incredibly easy to use. The Macintosh was not just a technological marvel, it was a cultural phenomenon. Its iconic 1984 Super Bowl commercial, directed by Ridley Scott, positioned Apple as a rebellious force challenging the status quo,